Listening to WTIM, your information station, and our morning show. It's brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and joining us in this segment, I've got Sasha Young. Sasha is the superintendent of Central A&M Schools. Good morning to you, Sasha. How are you?
Good morning. I am well. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining me here today. Sorry I missed you last month, but it's glad to get back on there. I'm glad to get back on the same page with you here this time around. And there's a lot of things going on with Central A&M schools. We've talked about it kind of all year long, and some of those things are coming to fruition. Some of those things have already happened, and that's where we kind of want to start here today with some of those things
Okay.
that have already taken place. You mentioned to me that 3 middle schoolers had themselves a lot of success at a speaking contest. I'm wondering, what can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so every year our middle school students have the opportunity to be a part of a literary speech competition. It's a regional competition. This year, I believe there were 7 schools involved, so we were one of the 7. We were slated to take 2 teams for this speech contest, one solo and then one trio. Unfortunately, the student performing the solo got sick before the competition and could not compete, but the trio went to the competition, 3 ladies, and they did a poem or a skit called Up, Up, and Gone. It was a funny skit on taking place on an airline, right?
Hmm.
Mid-flight, the pilot falls asleep. And so it was funny, uplifting, right, exciting. And they did so well at this competition that they earned themselves a judge's choice, which is one of the top uh, accommodations in the literary competition. So it was very exciting. They came Monday night and performed for the school board.
Hmm.
And lots of laughs, lots of excitement. It was a great way to start our board meeting off this week. So,
Well, I
yeah,
can that is awesome, and I can tell you the typical start to a school board meeting is probably not as funny or fun
right. This
as
was
that.
much better.
Yeah, I was going to say I've not been a part of your school board meeting, so I guess I can't speak specifically to you guys, but I think for a school board meeting to start in that fashion is at least it gets you with a good start there.
It sets the positive tone for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when sometimes you look at the agenda items and you go, ooh, that one might take a while, you know. So I can understand how that was a nice start, but really nice to see some success there. Sorry to hear about that solo performance that didn't go over, but is that something that they've done so on a regional level that they can take it to like a national level, or is that something that's just kind of done here in this area?
Really, it's just done in the area. It's they do not go any further with this. They do get their accommodations. They were each awarded a medal for the competition, as well as the certificate accommodation for judge's choice. And what's really exciting is that none of the ladies knew that they had received that award. So they, at the board meeting, the teacher who kind of oversees this competition for our school district awarded them with it in front of their friends and family who came to watch the skit at the board meeting. So that was kind of nice. I snuck a couple pictures, and we'll post those on our socials later this week. So yeah,
That
it was kind of exciting.
that is awesome, and especially just to see success outside of the classroom, and we typically always think about that with athletics, but that's not always the case, and in this
No,
case
not at
here,
all.
uh,
Yeah.
a skit called Up, Up, and Gone,
Hmm.
just getting the nice start to the board meeting. I'm sure that was a lovely way to begin said board meeting. So really cool to see the success there. And then you also mentioned to me that we've already taken care of like a winter concert
Yeah.
and a bond Christmas program. So I'm
Yep.
wondering what you can tell me on that end.
Sure. So earlier in December, we had our Christmas concert at our Mowequa campus. So grades 5 through 12 participate in band and chorus. So our musical concert for those age groups. Um, Great performances by all levels of the band, and both the middle school and the high school chorus. Some obviously Christmas themed music, and other music. Our beginning band is in 5th grade, and so they play some of the smaller compositions that you would learn when you're in 5th grade band, and they did really well. Our high school principal even commented that there were fewer squeaks than we thought there would be, because they just sounded amazing as a beginning band. So great concert, well participation. Lots of people showed up and showed out for our kids that day, so that was exciting. We also had a bond primary Christmas program, which just happened this past week for pre-K through first grade. Again, a huge turnout. Lots of parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles came out to um, get a little dose of the Christmas spirit with our littlest people. So exciting! Every grade level performed a few songs. They did really well, and our music teacher does a great job with our little people. And they have motions, and they have little skit lines that they read in between the songs, and it was a great way to start the Christmas season for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine, and also like with the squeaks, the clarinet and some of those things
Yep.
can get a little out of sorts. We'll call it at the younger ages, but to hear
And
that
it really didn't happen. It was amazing. They
that
did such a great job.
that is pretty impressive. I've been to a handful. Being a big brother growing up, I've been to a handful of winter concerts that were pretty squeaky. So I can attest to the fact that probably was a nice way to turn out from that. And then the Bond Christmas program with kindergarten or pre-K through first grade. It's hard to be mad at little kids that are singing and
Yeah.
doing their thing. I mean,
And
it's
they dress up in their finest. They come all decked out in their Christmas finest clothing, and so it's just really sweet.
awesome way to get into the holiday season and the holiday spirit. And
Mhm.
one other thing that we wanted to touch on, I guess, when it comes to things that have previously happened or already taken place, is you mentioned to me e-learning and kind of how you guys go about that. Maybe even just making the decision to have an e-learning day. So I'm wondering what that looks like at Central A&M schools and how that decision maybe is actually made.
Sure. So, um, obviously, e-learning is an option for us because we have had our e-learning plan approved by the regional office as well as the state board of ed. So we have that as an option. It is used in place of taking a more traditional snow day, because then an e-learning day does not need to be made up at the end of the school year. So it's one way to continue learning while we're kind of not in person. Obviously, it's not the same kind of learning that we would have in person, but I think our teachers do a good job of continuing that learning while we're out on that day. So I take into consideration road conditions first and foremost. And I actually drive over and drive part of our routes. I also talk to other people in the community that I know are up and about, road commissioners. Uh, Sometimes I reach out to board members who might live on the opposite edge of the community that I'm in, or I have a principal who helps me drive because there are lots of miles in our district, so it requires more people to help me. I can't get to all of the places in the district, but I do drive the road. I make sure that I think it feels safe for our buses to be out, for our high school kids to be in their own personal cars. Safety is the priority. We also, when we make a decision on e-learning, I also take into consideration wind chill. The National Weather Service provides the superintendent group with kind of a diagram of air temperature versus wind chill temperature when they factor in the wind. And it kind of helps make the decision on where we feel like this is a safe number versus this number is getting really too dangerous for our kids to be out walking to school, because we do not bus our kids in either town. If they live in town, they have to get to school on their own. So we only do bus routes in the country because our schools aren't more than a mile away from the majority of the community. So that's kind of the standard set by ISB. So most of our kids that, come to our schools are either riding a bus from out of the perimeter of our district or walking to school. And both of those in super cold temps can be dangerous. We also have to factor in if our buses could even start, with the wind chill. We are lucky we have bus garages, so ours are covered and indoors, but not all school districts have that. So that if they are parked outside, that plays a bigger factor than it does here. But
So multiple things obviously going into that decision. I'm wondering, Sasha, how early are you up to even start driving the roads?
so I typically start between 4 and 4:30,
Ooh.
because I want to make the call between 5:30 and 5:45. our buses tend to roll out about 6:15. So it's important that I get to the bus drivers before they make their way to the bus garages and do pre-trip, before they roll out. So I try to make the call by 5:30.
Okay.
Sometimes a few minutes later if I'm still driving on the road and I can't get to a place where I can actually send the message out. But 5:45 at the latest.
Okay. Well, honestly, I also feel like for parents in the community too, that makes it a nice time too, where for the most part, folks are leaving for work at 8 o'clock or going to work at 8 o'clock to start a gig at 9 or whatever the case might be. But
Right.
you
Right.
get that notif out there early enough that it also helps out with the parents on top of it. So I've always kind of wondered how that decision is made. I had an idea, but to know that you're out there driving it just to make sure as well, it's a cool thing to think that that you're out there doing that. Anything else when it comes to the e-learning day and maybe what goes on during an e-learning day? Do all kids have access to a Chromebook?
So we have in our e-learning plan, we have the elementary students typically get their learning through packets, just because we do not send our Chromebooks home with our youngest students. Middle school and high school, most of their work comes to them through like a Google Classroom situation. They are allowed to take their Chromebooks home all the time. So we could potentially send our Chromebooks home with our elementary kids if we had warning. However, e-learning days are typically called kind of more of an emergency situation than a plan ahead situation. So the best way we tackle that with our youngest students is to have a packet ready to go and kind of just in their folder, hanging out, waiting to be used.
Okay, so that kind of
Yeah, every so often we try to update it so that the material in the packet is still relevant to what's going on in the classroom.
okay, and that would make sense to me, and also probably not sending Chromebooks home with super young ones also checks out with me and makes some sense. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's not something that you're looking the day before going, all right, it's
It would
2
be
o'clock.
ideal if we could plan ahead, but it would keep me in bed a little longer, but that's okay. I don't like making a call super early because the weather can change,
Oh yeah.
so quickly. And so I find it's best to try to make the decision right before, it needs to be made. So
And I think so too. You consider a forecast, and it could tell you it's going to snow 8 inches, and then you might wake up. You've already canceled school the afternoon before, and you're looking at a dusting outside, and you're going, well, that decision was maybe a little early to have been made. So,
well, and for instance, this last Monday the wind chill was forecasted to be significantly colder than I think it actually was at the start of the day. There was a lot of conversation about like being in like the -20 to -30 range, and parts of Illinois saw that. But if we had just strictly made the call for e-learning based on that factor, I think the coldest it was in our district Monday morning was like -12. Well, -12 with the wind chill and -20 with the wind chill is kind of different, and so we do try to wait also until the forecast is pretty secure and not still in the changing stages.
well, the weatherman, we need him to be as confident in his decision or his what he's told us as
Yeah.
possible. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, you're leaning on a lot of things, and you're leaning on some extra members in the community, whether
am.
that's a principal or not, to also help you in that decision. But it is interesting to think about you having to really get out of bed, crawl out of bed on a nasty morning at 3:45, 4 o'clock to hit the roads and make sure everybody's going to be safe in
Well,
doing
it's
so.
worth it to keep everyone safe for sure.
I absolutely can understand that from your end, and I think folks would appreciate that as well. Well, Sasha, let's take ourselves a break, and we have
Okay.
already knocked out 14 minutes. So we will not have a ton of time when we come back around, but we'll be speaking with Sasha Young, Superintendent of Central A&M Schools. We'll see what else we can tell you about here, about their school district and what's coming up for them on WTIM, your information station.
WTIM.
Sock the halls.
Isn't that supposed to be deck the halls?
No, Troy, we're socking the halls at Jansen's Heating and Air.
Ah, because it's time for...
Socks for seniors.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
The time when fine folks from far and wide drop off new warm, fuzzy, and funny socks at Jansen's Heating and Air.
We then deliver these festive foot warmers to our elderly friends and neighbors at local assisted care facilities.
A new pair of colorful, comfy, cozy socks may not seem like much,
But they brighten the season for seniors spending the holidays away from home and family.
in other words, these socks really slay.
The drop-off deadline is Friday, December 19th.
Donate new pairs of tinsel-toed holiday socks during regular business hours at Jansen's on West 40 in Effingham.
Or give them to your Jansen's tech during a service call and get $5 off your bill.
Ugh, these socks I'm wearing are too tight.
They are?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little claustrophobic.
JansensHeating.com.
This is Bill Pinkston, General Sales Manager at Landmark of Taylorville. It's that time of year again. Whether you're needing that year-end tax write-off or just wanting a shiny new vehicle to take to grandma's for Christmas, visit us at Landmark of Taylorville, Chevy, Buick, GMC. We have all the remaining 25 models priced to go and a great selection of 26 models already on the lot. Plus, with over 400 pre-owned vehicles in our family dealerships and our lifetime powertrain warranty, why would you buy anywhere else? From our family to yours, have a safe and Merry Christmas. And remember,
You always do better at Landmark.
I'm Will Perkins, President and CEO of Taylorville Community Credit Union. TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Hart Media Group Community Spotlight, allowing a different nonprofit organization to be highlighted on WTIM, WMKR, and WRAN each month.
Hi, this is Chief Wheeler from the Taylorville Police Department. As we come to close of another year, I want to extend my sincere gratitude on behalf of the entire police department. Crime is down because of your support. As we enter the holiday season, I ask everyone to remain mindful. This time of year often brings in increased thefts and crimes of opportunity. Please remember to lock your vehicles, secure your homes, and stay vigilant. When celebrating, do so responsibly and look out for one another. Have a great holiday.
TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Hart Media Group Community Spotlight. Come join us. You'll wonder why you waited. Member NCUA.
Brenda Elder here, the Executive Director of the Shelby County Economic Development Corporation. From growing your business to attracting new investment, we're here to help. Find out more by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
If you're dreading the leaf raking and snow shoveling, Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth is half the cost of most independent living options and maintenance free. Find out more by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station. WTIM.
And we're back with Sasha Young, Superintendent of Central A&M Schools, here on the WTIM Morning Show, brought to you by People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. Sasha and I have been talking a little bit about the success had by several students when it came to a speaking contest, their winter contest or concert and bond Christmas program, and more. We'd like to turn our attention to a few more students that had some success. What can you tell me about the IMEA and what happened there?
Yes. So last month I mentioned on the radio that we had 18 students who qualified to go to the District 5 Music Festival, which was held at Eastern Illinois University. From that festival, we had 2 students who were selected to go to the All-State Festival for the Illinois Music Educators Association. They will be going to Peoria for this festival in late January. So it's exciting. Every year we compete at the District 5 level, and sometimes we have qualifiers for All-State and sometimes we don't. So this year we are very proud that we have 2 students who are moving on to the All-State Festival. So
it's cool to hear that 3 middle schoolers had some success. We had a lovely winter concert and bond primary Christmas program. So just a lot of success being had kind of in the extracurriculars outside of the classroom, and we're not talking athletics. So I think that is
celebrating.
sure. And why not when you have success to be able to highlight there. And Sasha, we have got not much time at all, but you mentioned to me that there was a facilities meeting coming up. Can you give us an idea real quick?
Yes. So in January, we will be meeting as a full board on a facilities planning meeting. We'll be looking at things that we need in our buildings and kind of planning long-term cost, budget, how we're going to pay for these projects. And it looks like we might be starting with the middle school HVAC system. Right now, the heating system is struggling to keep up, and potentially adding AC to our middle school gym in the future. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, Sasha, 20 minutes today flew, but thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Sasha Young, Superintendent of Central A&M Schools, here on the WTIM Morning Show.
The latest clear images of the suspect. Facing 2 counts of first-degree murder, Nick Reiner is expected to make his